Good afternoon, my name's Darrell Henry, doing the oral template reaction video. So for our first section here, we're going to start off with introduction to the responsible conduct of research. So to me, the main point of that article was that researchers, what drives them to keep going is all the unknown in the world. So for example, the sea being unexplored, that could be what keeps a certain researcher going, just knowing that we have discovered a lot in the world, but knowing that there's still many and many things in this world that has still not been discovered. And I think that's what they're trying to say, that is what keeps some of them going, is just simply the fact that they don't know what's still out there and that they still want to find what's next out there. So for the next one, we have section advising and mentoring. And for the main point of that, I put that all researchers have an advisor / mentor. So to me, I feel like that was important because a mentor, that is somebody who is very important in your life. And I remember correctly that the mentors actually can help the researchers gain their first job. And that's often what happens, is a mentor leads a researcher to his first job within the scientific community. And it's just somebody who's always there to help you. And I felt like that was very important. And it's basically, a mentor can also be an advisor as well. So that's also, I think, something that's cool, is your advisor can be your mentor. And I think whenever you have that connection, it just makes it even more perfect. So for my next section, we have the treatment of data. And for that one, I have researchers must conduct data correctly. This is a big one because the scientific community is something that a lot of people count on to believe to always be just straight facts. And that's one of the main reasons why conducting researches are very important, because sorry, I got a text threw me off. That researchers are very important because if the scientific community starts throwing around not factual data and incorrect information, then it's going to make the credibility of the scientific community go down. And that is not just going to only affect the researcher who gave that misleading information, it's going to, the whole entire scientific community is going to take a big toll. Okay, the next one I want to talk about is, let me skip now a little bit here, because this kind of goes with this one. So we're going to go to section research misconduct. And for the main point of that one, I have that scientific misconducts can lead to very serious consequences. So going back about what I just said about how you want to make sure that all your data is correct, because you don't want to give misleading information, that when you complete a misconduct, you believe you're taken completely out of the scientific community. And I remember that there is 3 ways you can easily get misconduct in the scientific community. Is from plagiarizing, where you're using someone else's data without giving them the correct credit that they deserve. Fabrication, I believe is what it's called. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but I think it was fabrication, is where you're just completely making up the data, where you might did the research on the project, but you are just kind of going along with your own thing and just making up your own data as you go. And then falsification, I believe it's called, I don't know if I'm saying that right either, is where you are just completely misleading with your information, you're messing with the data, and just different things like that. And those are 3 easy ways to get misconduct within the scientific community. And once you get misconduct, I believe you are completely removed from the scientific community. So for my next one, I'm going to go to sections humans, participants, and animal subjects in research. And for the main point of that one, I have that animals are treated just like humans. So I remember that in the reading it was saying how when testing on a human, you got to give a human a lot of care, and just make sure that you would treat him like a regular human. And now most people would think for animals it would be very different. However, the Animal Welfare Act went into place. I don't remember the exact date, but it went into place, and the Animal Welfare Act states that you must treat an animal like you're treating a human. So you must care for it whenever you're researching it, and you just wouldn't treat it like any ordinary animal, and you won't act any difference towards that animal than you would a human. And the Animal Welfare Act is what went into place to make sure that animals aren't being mistreated when they're involved in a research. And then my next section would be laboratory safety. And for my main point of that one, I put always know your safety laws, and especially when conducting an research. So in the text, it was speaking about how I believe there was one person dead in a fire that could have easily been prevented had they followed their laboratory safety laws. And unfortunately, a person died from where they didn't completely follow the laws. And I think that's why we see a increase in the safeties, and really making sure that we read those is simply because there was a death where it could have easily been prevented had we followed the safety laws. Next section I'm going to go to is we're going to go to competing interests, commitments, and values. And for that one, I have the main point as researchers often have to make tough decisions between researching and their personal life. Experiments and stuff, they can take an awfully long time, and if you just are constantly going at it and not taking time for yourself, it can definitely take a toll on your mental health, and no one wants that. So you got to make sure that although your research may be very important to you, you got to make sure that you are still getting time for yourself and time for your family members and your loved ones and all that. And actually, go here. I'm gonna go down to section responding to suspected violations and professional standards. So for the main point of that one, I put that the scientific community is self-regulated organization. So that means that there's not like one head person, that the group takes care of the group. So for example, if you were to get into a scientific misconduct, then it wouldn't be just one person who is overseeing what happened. It would be members of the scientific community that are trusted and have been there for a while, that would review your case, and then they would overall make a decision on whether they feel like you did do a misconduct, or if they feel like that you didn't do it, and that it should be reviewed. But where it's self regulated, that there's not just one person, and it will be peers from within the scientific community that actually review it and will make the final decision. And then I think for my last one, I'm gonna go with mistakes and negligence. And for that one, I have mistakes are bound to happen. And mistakes are something that the most careful scientists in the world have made. So you just have to know that you are going to make mistakes when researching, but you want to try to limit those mistakes because, like I said, you are hurting the reputation of the scientific community when you are given misleading information. Now, mistakes are going to happen, like I said, but you want to just try your best to try to limit those mistakes.